But I know you didn't. I felt disrespected. I felt like it was in that moment where I'm like, maybe I'm too relatable.
Yeah, like you feel like you can wear that here with me? Like,
what would make you think?
Yeah, I feel that way too.
I'm not expecting you to come in a double-breasted, custom, lady suit, but I do expect you to feel like you have to present yourself in a certain way. And in that moment, it made me like ask myself, what am I giving off to make you think that you can come to an interview with me? The same thing with men. I know you get it too. Like, let me go check my profile.
Yeah,
let me go
check
check
what you see that you think this is that.
This ain't that. This ain't that. Welcome to another edition of Full Transparency with me, Donnie Wiggins. You guys, I am so excited to have you here. When you come to see Full Transparency, you are coming to meet a bunch of my successful friends, some old and some new, like my guest today. But we're taking you behind the scenes and taking a deep dive into a full transparent conversation about what it's like to be an entrepreneur, a CEO, a lover, a friend, just a whole human being. So let's get to it with my guest for today. I have the lovely Dawn Dickson in the building with me today. How are you, lady?
I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling good too.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yay.
You that girl.
Am I that girl?
You that girl.
You that girl.
You that girl.
No, you're that girl. If we got to be the girl of the day, it's going to be Dawn. You guys, so I just literally in real life met you yesterday. And we're about to go.
I've been a fan. I've been a fan.
First of all,
I've been a fan.
We've been a fan of each other.
Thank you.
You are so inspiring. Okay, so we got to tell people who you are, what you do really quickly. Dawn, as I have known her all these years, has been the founder and CEO of Flat Out Heels. And you and I have, is it Flat Out Heels?
Flat Out of Heels.
Flat Out of Heels. You and I have a mutual friend that I go back since 2013 with, but you go back even further than that. 98. And I have over the years heard her talk about, I remember her carrying these flat outs in her purse, putting them on her feet all the time. You guys, if you've ever seen, for ladies, the ballerina almost looking slipper that goes on your feet that you can wear in public. It doesn't have that penetratable sole. You can wear it in public. Yes. Do I have the pitch?
Yes, you got it.
First of all, let me get a little sponsorship.
Yes, for real. No, really. This is good.
No, for real. For real.
Yeah.
Okay. So love them because you can take your feet out of your heels, put them in your flat outs. And I have seen this company grow from Melissa carrying them around in her purse to now you're in the airports. You've got them in vending machines. Tell me about this company. Is this the first company?
No, I started my first company in 2001. So I've been an entrepreneur 23 years now, full time.
Okay.
So you already know the journey is crazy.
Yeah.
But Flat Out I started in 2011.
Okay.
So we're looking at 12 years in April. And it just was a necessity from me being out. Back in those days, I was out in the club. I was living in Miami. I was living here in Atlanta. And I see women walking barefoot, and I'm like, how can I solve this? I already was an entrepreneur, so I already had that mindset of if you see a problem you can solve and you can monetize, and you have the resources, then go for it. And so I didn't see any competitors, and I really wanted to dip my feet in consumer products at the time, because my first business was web-based. I was building websites in the early days of websites. And that's what I did, entertainment and events, in my early career in my 20s. But that's what led me to being around so many women who are walking barefoot and being in the clubs and being out because of my website, The Urban Star. And I just always wanted to try products. When I was in a phase of my life, a transitional phase of my life when I started Flat Out. I had just moved from Atlanta, quit my career, and I'm like, God, send me the next thing for me. What's next for me?
God, send me the next thing
for me. What's next? I quit my careers when I'm tired of them. They'll be doing well, making money, and I'll just quit them. I heard you talking about this in one of your shows. Done. I just stopped.
Yeah, just done.
I just was doing. You said you're doing management of property, and I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was at, and so I was broke because I quit my income stream, and I was living in Miami broke, and that ain't the place to be broke. And but I was walking on faith, and I'm like, send me something that I'm passionate about. I want to do something else, but I don't want to work for anybody. Send me something.
Yeah.
And I was out. I will never forget this night because I was helping my friend with Ocho Cinco and Evelyn, they had a party. So
Okay,
now we see how long ago
okay.
this was. And my feet was hurting so bad. They feel like
you were
blood
not
was
one of
coming
those
out.
girls. Don't tell me
I
you were
wasn't going to walk barefoot. I refused.
You weren't walking barefoot.
I refused.
We weren't doing that.
I will not.
Okay.
I have not.
Just being clear.
But it was intense pain where I said, I can't live like this.
Yes. Praying to get to the car.
Yes. And then I had a whole night ahead. And I was like, why aren't there like vending machines where women can just get flats? Like what? We need a convenient place. Maybe in the clubs, you just grab a pair of flats when you're headed out. Mm-hmm. Because Miami and Atlanta, you're walking far from the club door to your vehicle. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're not paying $50 valet. Exactly.
Yeah, especially when you're broke and you got to park in the free spot all the way down the street.
Blocks.
Yeah, we've walked some blocks to the club before.
So, this was in the days where I cannot afford $50 for valet.
Right.
So we're walking. And that was the idea. And I did a research and I did some surveys on Facebook. Like, would y'all buy some flats to put in your purse? Or what do you got? What is the solution out? Many women said they carry tennis shoes in their car. They keep shoes in the car. But I'm like, you need them from the door to the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I felt like there was a market for it. And I started it.
Definitely. Do you know what I used to do when my feet would hurt? This was in my 20s. So I'm a germaphobe. And I have been a germaphobe since, I probably became that way since becoming a mom, like going into public restrooms and stuff, trying to figure out, like I was the mom that started to see the public bathroom as the enemy before my daughter became like a toddler. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what would we do if we're out in public? So anyway, I would see girls carrying flip-flops in their bag, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. So you're walking around the club. You've been to the bathroom, you've been outside, and you have the audacity to take those flip-flops off your feet and put them in your purse. Exactly. You nasty person, you. But I loved the idea of having the flip-flops. So I would take a pair of flip-flops and put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in my purse.
That's smart.
And that's what I was doing at first. But that was back in the day when we had like the big bags, the Dooney and Burke. It was not the clutch.
Small.
So when clutches came out, and that was the thing, because big bags went out of style for like a long time. When clutches came back, I'm like, now what am I going to do with? And so my old, sometimes ratchet self took a whole lot of the umbrella covers from in front of this building.
Oh, snap.
And I put the umbrella covers over my feet to walk to and from the car because they're plastic.
That's innovation.
That's innovation.
You innovative. That's innovative.
That's innovation.
That's innovation.
But see, here's the thing. I identify, this is why it's so important. Like if you are an entrepreneur or not even an entrepreneur yet, David and I talked about this on the Social Proof podcast. Innovation, right? Identifying something that is wrong, even if there's a current solution in place. Yes. Because the solution at that time was just throw a pair of extra shoes in your bag.
Yes.
You and I see that differently. We don't want shoes just touching our makeup and our pins and, Is there a problem right now in your life or in other people's lives that you're familiar with, very closely connected to, and you can create a problem, a solution for
and monetize it.
I saw umbrella bags and thought it was genius. Like, whoosh. People would look at me walking down the street with these umbrella bags on, and I have no shame ever. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy, but then they're whispering like that's a good idea.
They had that.
But then there's a Dawn Dickson who says, girl, let me put your feet in some shoes.
And give you a bag to put your heels in and to put your flats in so you don't have to get your purse dirty.
Yes.
And then I didn't use the bag before Hair Umbrella came out, I was putting the bag on my head as a rain hat. I still to this day, like there's flat out bags all over my house for every purpose.
That is so
shoe
funny.
Bags, toiletry bags when I travel. So yeah, I'm just like, let me just give women like a bag and a pair of shoes that they can just... they can use, and they're machine washable, and they're dryer safe, and they're durable. I just created something I wanted, and they have to be cute. Like the bottoms are red. They had to have a little fashion to them. They can't be flimsy and cheap looking because you're not taking off your $500 heels to put on something raggedy.
Not those. I'm not going to call the brand out, but there used to be these. If I'm being totally honest, fully transparent, when I first saw your flat outs, I'm like, girl, I can go to Target and get these for like half the price, and I did. And I went to Target and I bought these like satin slippers with a little bow on them, went outside in the rain, feet soaking wet.
Exactly. And I picked my materials just for that reason.
I'm like, never again. And I think Chambers actually gave me my first pair of flat outs many years ago. So I need a pair. Like,
and you got them coming. They on the way.
I need a pair because your girl, I am still, honestly, I got the Old Navy flip-flops like in every color in my car. Okay. Just...
Yeah, I sent you.
I deserve something better on my feet. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get them.
They should have been here today, but
I have a question for you though. So you said that you were living in Miami. You were broke.
I was cash poor. That's the mindset. So I like to say I was very cash poor.
I love it. I love it. You were cash poor. Mm-hmm. When we say cash poor, because sometimes people will say, "Oh yeah, I was broke," or "I didn't have any money," and it's like, "Yeah, so I took the last $25,000 that I had and did X, Y, and Z." And me and my life journey,
I'm talking about zero.
I'm
talking about negative $500.
Okay, so where'd you get the money? You see this idea, you want to be innovative. Where did the money come from to put this idea together?
From my network. So, again, I was an entrepreneur already. I had a track record of success. I was doing a lot of events here in Atlanta. I live in nice, brand new, nice Lexus. I worked with a lot of athletes and entertainers doing events, marketing, PR, working with a lot of the club owners here. So I knew people I knew high net worth individuals.
Okay.
And, this is before like I was in the venture capital world and out fundraising, but these are high net worth individuals that could invest. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing that I did when I got my idea was wrote out, because I'm a business person. So I did the business plan, the projections, spelled it all out, let them see what it's going to look like, how I'm going to make money. And I pitched it to some of my former NFL clients and some of my friends from college. And I raised $30,000 within like 2 months.
Okay. Before I figure out how you allocated the $30,000, this has always been a struggle for me, asking anybody for money. Like,
you don't ask for money. You give people an opportunity.
Tell me about it. Hold on.
You never ask for anything.
Okay.
I'm giving you an opportunity to be a part of something that I'm growing from 0 to XX number of millions. I'm giving you a chance to get in early on something.
Hold on.
So I'm not asking you for anything because I'm going to do it without you. Okay. I don't need you.
Hold on, because I'm about to write this down. Y'all, did y'all hear this? Let me just tell you how the conversation goes with, like, your friends and all this stuff. I'm giving you an opportunity. Yeah. I'm giving you, and y'all better be taking notes on
Listen,
this.
y'all know me. Y'all know that what I do, I win. I start businesses, I make money, and I win. And now I'm starting something new. Because, again, I had a track record. Okay. I wasn't, like, coming out of nowhere like, hey,
this is a quotable, y'all. This is a quotable. Yes. Okay.
So you see what I've been doing. You see how I've been living. Mm-hmm. Now I'm giving you an opportunity to be a part of my next venture.
I got to ask, you're working in this industry with all of these superstars, athletes, entertainers. Are any of these guys, like, was your first yes somebody that you were dating?
No, my first yes was a friend from college. So my friend Tamika, she gave me $10,000 first. My second, nobody that I was dating gave me money. I didn't even ask them.
You didn't present them with the opportunity?
Because I wasn't dating anyone seriously. And a lot of times, even giving them an opportunity when you're not as serious, it could throw off the dynamic. Like, I don't like asking men for money. That's one thing I don't do.
Okay, so that's
one thing I don't do.
That's the problem. So in conversation, like, with your girlfriends.
Because I wasn't dating no one serious enough to be like, here.
I will tell, like, literally billions of dollars of inventory is what we refer to these guys as, right? Yes. Or not even just these guys, but just the people that you know in your phone. Billions of dollars of inventory is in this phone, right? But I have never been able to ask, and I think you just freed me from. I
don't want expectations tied to this opportunity. I don't want you to expect sex or me answering the phone or anything beyond that. So that's why I keep it platonic. Now I'll say former people that I had dated invested, but we were friends.
Okay.
So it was like it was different. But yeah, I mean, 6 people invested in They were friends and former clients.
I love it. And now I'm just really thinking through just my own journey and all of the opportunities that I failed to present people with. And my friends would think I'm crazy. Girl, you know, this person and this person and this person, and you never ask anybody for money. And for me, it wasn't even necessarily guys that I was dating. It was just people that I knew, and I didn't want to tarnish the friendship. I didn't want, like you said, I didn't want to have to be more available and you know what else I struggled with, Dawn, with asking people for help, because essentially that's what it is.
It's not though. I don't ask for help. No, you truly don't need their help. It's not help. It's investing. It's like when you go to invest in stocks.
It's not help.
Apple ain't getting your help.
Right.
Microsoft ain't asking for your help. Tesla don't need your help.
I got you.
You're getting an opportunity to get in on what they got going on.
Okay.
So it's like, help is when like, I can't pay my rent this month. Help is like, my car is in the shop.
I need help.
Help is like, can you get my nails done or something?
This is an opportunity.
This is an opportunity.
This is a win for you.
This is a win for you.
This is a win for you.
Because you're getting equity and you're going to get it returned to you.
Now, you're asking people, because there's somebody out, they're like, okay, I have a high value network. Yes. How do I position this opportunity? But before that, as I'm thinking, because I have some things that are investable right now, one of my fears that's attached to asking people that I know versus going and getting funding from, banks, what if it doesn't work?
It's an opportunity. I present it as well. Like, hey, this is the one thing. It's important to understand and discern who you even ask.
Okay.
So you can't go through your phone and it's like, oh, they got money. Everybody with money is not smart. Everybody with money is not an investor. Yeah. And they don't understand returns and how investment works.
Okay.
If you're not already investing in things and understand investments are a risk, I don't want to deal with you.
Okay.
So everyone that I went to, they know that it's a risk that it can fail, but they're betting on me because I don't fail and I haven't yet.
You talking mad spicy,
you know what I'm saying?
right now.
So it's like, you want to bet on the jockey? Because I'm going to ride whatever horse to the winning arena.
You said they're going to bet on you because you don't fail. But at the time, you're already an established businesswoman, but you don't have any money.
Yes.
How do I see you as it not being a failure?
Because they know I'm in a transition. Like my first business was a service business. So I got paid for doing events.
Okay.
So it was different. And they know I didn't have money because I decided I was retiring myself. So I positioned it like, listen, and nobody knew that I was actually cash poor. How would you know? I'm still looking good. I'm still playing the part. Nobody knows I'm about to get evicted, okay?
Right.
So it's like, the bottom line is my track record speaks for itself. They seen what I was able to do, and my cash poor situation was a choice. I decided I was going to stop what I was doing to take a leap to something new. And I do this regularly. I've done it multiple times where I stop my income stream to go do something else. Yeah. And it took a couple of months to reboot, and I was cash poor. But I also learned over the years now to develop, build assets and create streams for myself where I won't be in that position again. I learned my lesson back in 2011.
Okay.
How not to be super cash poor, how to set up myself when there's cash flow. When cash flow is abundant, things to do to prepare myself for the inevitable downturn, because cash flow goes up and down as an entrepreneur no matter what.
Sure. You have a 19-year-old daughter.
I do. Almost 19. She's
almost 19. Yeah. So first of all, your girl looks good. Okay, let's look at her real quick. I just want y'all to see.
Y'all see her, so I have to show up
to match this. Your girl is over here looking like a star. You have a almost 19-year-old daughter, and let's say you were giving her advice on how to, would you call it bootstrapping, your first idea?
Yeah, well, I got an investor. So bootstrapping, when you pay yourself, when you pay, where you're paying for the business from yourself, your personal resources, your personal assets, credit cards. I didn't bootstrap. I actually had investors from the beginning. So
if she's like, hey, Ma, I just want to quit everything that I'm doing. I don't really have any money. I don't want your help necessarily, just like you funding this whole thing. I want to go out and get investors. Let's talk to 19-year-old daughter. What would you tell her to do right now to start her first business? The
first thing is to be able to completely understand the market opportunity. Is it even worth starting this business? How big is your market share? What are you going to charge? How are you going to get your customers? Like, think through the business first. How are you going to make money? How soon are you going to make money? What is it going to take to get a product to market to start making money? Because in today's economy, money, like cash and revenue is king. Not what you raise, not investors. It's like, can you make money? Can this be profitable? And if she can flesh it out, you know, what's your price point? Who are your customers? What's the market size? How are you going to get the product made? What is the product? How many people on your team do you need? How much money do you need to operate this business every month if you're not monetizing? Know all these things before you even talk to an investor.
Okay.
And then when you talk to an investor, make sure you know how you're going to return their money, your plan to give them their money back, your plan to grow their wealth, because it's all about making it beneficial to them. We already know it's going to benefit you because it's going to go into your business and your idea. You always position it as how it's going to benefit them, appeal to their desires. And at the time, a lot of my investors in the beginning, either they were already investing in small things as like angel investors here and there, or they really wanted to be associated with the lifestyle that my shoes brought, which was celebrities and parties and events and VIP, because I was already in that life, and so this was another way to stay in that life. So that appealed to them. They wanted to be associated with something that was in the mix. So you have to really play to people's desires and know what's gonna make them want to do it for them, not for you.
First of all, I'm so inspired. Like this literally just in these few minutes that we've been talking has set me free.
What? Did you be setting me free?
Girl.
I'm like, what can I say to her?
We just freed each other.
She's the coach of the coaches. So.
You legit just set me free just in the conversation. Like sometimes it's just that small thing that you need to get from somebody. But the transition for me happened when you said, oh, I'm not asking for help. I'm not asking for money. I am extending an opportunity. I'm extending an opportunity. And then in what you just said too, it's really important. It's just like for me, like I correlate everything to like business and how I run business. And people are always asking, how do I get a mentor? How do I find a mentor? How do I find, get someone who wants to mentor me? And the first thing that I ask is, what value do you have to offer a mentor? So now that person who's like, how do I get an investor? How do I get somebody to invest in my business? It's what's the value proposition to the potential investor, right? But speaking to things that would excite them.
Yes.
So the value proposition to one investor may be something completely and uniquely different to somebody else. Yes. And sometimes we're just asking the wrong people.
Yes. And I learned this from nonprofit fundraising. I went to school for nonprofit fundraising, and we learned how to build what's called a constituency model. And this helps me. I still think like this. Who are all the people in your pool in your warm market? Yeah. People that you can text, call, email, they answer. Then what you have to kind of put them in buckets, because what you don't want to do is ask a person that could give you 20,000 to give you 1,000. So you have to think, I'm gonna segment this. How much money do I need? All right, let's say I need $500,000. I have 20 people. Some people, if I ask them for $1,000, it's too low. Like that, I could have asked them for 20,000. Yes. Some people, all they can afford is 1,000. Yes. So I put them in buckets of what to ask. Put them in buckets of like what's important. So I say, all right, I need 2 investors going to give me 100,000. I need 5 investors that's going to give me 20. Then I can go out and get 20 investors that'll give me 10. I might get a couple of investors. You break it down to like, who are your community and what can you ask them for? What appeals to them? And you really create separate pitches for all of them to give them the value of what you think they can do. And I found myself a lot of times asking for not enough or too much, but you got to find that person's like sweet spot. Yeah. And so that's what I was able to do. I got an investor that gave me $90,000 because I asked him, but I didn't ask my $10,000 investor. I knew that 10 was her cap. Right. But I also knew it was important to her, being VIP, being able to get the clout that come along with this.
So let me ask about that. So let's say your $10,000 investor, your friend who invested in your business, she wanted the VIP, she wanted the clout. How do you deliver that? Because of your connections that you had?
Yeah, because of my connections, and because, when we do events, like when Flat Out does events or does sponsorships, or when have celebrity, I get invited to all kinds of stuff. She'll be my plus one. I know you want to be here. Like even next week, we have an interview next week with like a big company featuring Flat Out of Heels. I invited her. Okay. I know she likes the looks. So I'm going to give it to you. Yes. Because That's what's important.
Wait, because now we're friends, and I want to come.
I got you.
I want to come to. I'm just putting that out there.
It is, and I figure out what gets people excited, because keep in mind, she invested 12 years ago almost, and I haven't paid her money back yet. We haven't sold the company. You get paid back when you exit.
No, let's talk about it.
So how do I keep adding value so they don't feel like, damn, I've been waiting 12 years to get my money back?
Because the investor-like conversations that I've had are, how soon do I start to make my money back, right?
Then they don't understand investing.
And the person seeking the investment doesn't understand, because one of the mistakes that I see people making all the time, which is why historically I have been more of a fan of funding, right? From banks and other organizations, grants, funding, things like that. Because one of the mistakes that I see people make is, hey, if you give me $100,000 in the next 3 months or 6 months, I'll be able to start paying you back X, Y, and Z. And the reality is that is not the truth for most people.
If that's your agreement. I mean, you're right. That's a stretch.
That's a stretch.
That's a big stretch.
Usually when you are seeking investment, right, you've allocated that money somewhere. Now, I heard someone say one time that when they go out and they get investment, they consider payback, right? And that's in the amount of money that they're seeking. So they're able to start making payments to investors that require that they actually raise that money. But most of, and we're speaking to a lot of newer entrepreneurs, they've probably been bootstrapping to this point. They're not really familiar with that language. So I love what you just said.
That's, you can return their money. I've returned multiple people's money. That was a peer lending arrangement. They're
peer lending,
not a
arrangement.
bank. I'm borrowing money from private individuals.
Okay.
So I've had people on my network loan me $25,000, and I gave it back already. I'll say, okay, let me borrow. For example, here's a perfect example. A couple years ago, not even a long time ago, 8 years ago, we were doing a deal with Groupon. And I needed a lot of inventory, because you have to have the inventory available for them to go out through the Groupon. So I wasn't, my cash flow wasn't where I could front all this inventory, like 20,000. So I went to my aunt, who's, thank goodness for a couple of wealthy relatives in there. But I had to prove myself for many years before I can get any money out of them.
That's the hardest person to get money from.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, listen, let me get this. Let me borrow $15,000. And I'll give you 50 cents from every pair of shoes sold on this deal. And then I'll give you, whatever the interest was, 5%.
How much were the shoes being sold for?
They were being sold for, it was Groupon. So they make you discount. I think my margin, so my net was probably about $9.
Okay, so you're giving her 50%.
50
cents of every sale.
That's not bad.
Right.
So that's like an upside for her, right? So it ended up being like maybe $4,000 or $5,000 royalties. And it worked out.
Okay.
That's not an investor though. That's a short-term agreement,
Okay.
that they get their money back. But people that want to hold equity and want to be a part owner, that's different.
So we're talking.
If you want to have the same share class as me, you want to play in my lane as a owner, you got to ride out as an owner.
And I think it's very important to understand the difference between taking a loan and receiving an investment.
Very different.
Yeah, very, very different. Your aunt was a lender.
As a lender.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, how many owners are these shareholders that you have established?
Shareholders.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many shareholders do you have in your company right now?
About 650. Really? Yeah, because in the beginning, I had about 10. So the first.
Hey, are you a service-based entrepreneur that helps your clients or customers get some type of result, but you're struggling to post and communicate your message on social media? You don't know how to type a caption that connects and gets people's attention and converts them from just someone who's following you on social to becoming your customer or your client? Great news is that's my superpower. So I'm sending you 3 text messages every single day, excluding major holidays, directly to your phone of exactly what you need to post to get people to buy and convert them into clients and customers. All you have to do is join my program, Post to Paid, and you can do so by texting the words Post to Paid to 404-737-2767. And the best news is just $37 a month. So hurry up, send me the text. I'm looking for it now.
8 years of my business, I only had about 10. I had my first investors, a couple friends came in, a couple clients came in, and then we just grew from cash flow. We just supported the business from operations, from sales. But then I want to take the business to another level because I really want to exit it. I want to acquisition. It's time to return the investors' money. The way you do that is through a liquidity event, which liquidity is a merger or acquisition, or going public. But I'm not IPOing with this company. It's this lifestyle business. You don't IPO a lifestyle business.
Okay, teach me, girl.
So I'm gonna do a merger or acquisition. So I need more money because I have to grow. I have to hit certain metrics to get an acquisition at the 5x multiple that I'm trying to get.
Okay,
and I need more money because I got to increase the revenue and the marketing. It can't no longer kind of be flat or like go up and down a little bit. So I decided to do a crowdfunding campaign. And that's like my expertise. Like I'm the first female founder in the world to raise over $1 million in a crowdfunding campaign under the new Jobs Act. So that's like what I can do. I'm good at getting communities to invest in things. And so I raised money from about 640 investors on Start Engine. And the average investment is about $150 from those people. So I raised $250,000 just for growth capital.
Okay.
And then now I'm working to return that to those people within a 3-year period because that's they're retail investors.
Yeah.
So that's their general expectation because these are people that are used to being able to get liquidity from the stock market. You go invest in Apple today, within 48 hours, you can go flip that stock, sell it right back. Even though it's not publicly traded, it's privately held, but they still have a expectation of a faster return. Investors like my friend are like early stage investors who understand it's a long game and they're looking for the bigger return later on, or they're investing for the retirement. Is kind of different. So, I mean, there's plus and minuses to having all these people on your cap table, like all these investors.
Yeah.
But it's low hanging fruit if you have a good network. And me, I have a massive network. And it was easier for me to go out and say, hey, all these people that support me for now at this point, 15 years, you want to invest in what I'm doing? You want an opportunity to ride this out with me? You know, minimum investment's $100. And so that we sold out that round.
Wow. Okay. So what happens, first of all, because I know everybody's going to be asking, is this a service that you offer in terms of helping people crowdfund?
I do coaching. My website, dondickson.me.
Let's get it.
Yeah, I do. And I've thought about doing larger, but right now I do one-on-ones. I've done some master classes in 2020 and 2021, but it does take a lot out of you. So yeah. I do one-on-one coaching now for people but I'm very specific with who I work with. I kind of coach them from 0 to 1 million as far as either generating your first 1 million in sales or raising your first $1 million from investors. And as you mentioned before, you like funding because it's like you like banks or grants. And I've literally raised money and acquired money every way possible except for government contracts because that's not the space that I play in.
Okay.
But grants, crowdfunding, venture capital, accelerator programs, business loans, pitch competitions. I've won $250,000 from pitching. What else? I mean, all of the things, peer-to-peer loans, the Shopify loans, the PayPal loans, like all the ways.
Yes.
So I really kind of coach them on what's the best way because it's all about timing and understanding, like we talked about a second ago, a lender versus an investor, expectations of paying back and expectations of holding for the long haul. But if you feel like you're building a business that you want to keep in your family, you don't want to take investor money because they need liquidity. They need to exit. So unless you have a buyout plan for them in a reasonable time period, you should just take loans.
That is really good, Dawn. I don't want that to be missed. So anything that you want to pass down throughout your legacy, you would not advise an investor relationship? No,
because unless you have a situation where it's a buyout, where you invest for 5 years and then I'm going to give you liquidity in your contract, just to say that, not like pending. Like my investors are waiting for me to exit. They're just waiting for me to sell the company. They trust me that I'm going to do that. They don't have a buyout period because they know I want to sell it. But if this was a business that I was holding on to, I want my daughter to work for, I want to keep it in the family. No, because how are they going to get out?
That's a good
How are they ever going to get their money back?
Yeah.
They only get their money back, like the venture capital model and like the IPOs. They only get their money back. People get rich when that bell ring, when that stock IPO. People get rich when you do an acquisition and you get the payout. Right. And then you split up the money that you make from that sale. And so obviously when you're seeking investors, just like getting funding, you have to have a business plan together for that. It's not even anymore like the business plan that you and I know, like from, I don't have a business plan. Yeah, you don't need a business plan. Yeah, I don't have one. I never needed a business plan. You need a pitch deck. Okay. You need a deck just to lay out the problem, solution, opportunity, the market size, your sustainable addressable market, how many people you can capture from that, how you're going to go to market, who's on your team, how much money you're raising, how you're going to use that money, and how you're going to return that money. That's a 10-page deck.
Pitch deck. Make it real cute. And when you were when you were extending these opportunities, were these like one-on-one lunches, dinner? Did you do meetings, Zooms? Well,
yeah, Zoom wasn't around
Zoom
then.
wasn't
there
there,
wasn't
yeah.
these things. So, I'm grateful for Zoom these days, but I'm in people's face. I'm flying around the country. I'm meeting with them in person. The phone calls and Zoom was like impersonal in the 90s and early 2000s. You just go meet with people.
Yeah.
You had to have a meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm meeting with people. Yeah, I'm flying to every conference possible. I was at all the conferences, building my network. I was sending out newsletters that I created. Like I would go to people at conferences, meet them, get a business card, put them on my email list. I would send a monthly like newsletter about what I have going on, what I'm excited about, building relationships in every way possible so that when I was ready to ask for something, they didn't just hear from me when I wanted something.
When you wanted something.
I built relationships.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is lost these days with like the instant gratification culture. But there's a book I read when I was younger called A Personal Touch by Terry Williams. She was a publicist. And just talk about the value of doing things like writing handwritten notes or sending a thank you card or, doing those kind of follow-ups or sending touch points. And that I feel like is what has been the catalyst for my early career and success in raising money, was just that I was very personal with people.
I love that. So today, when you seek investors or you're building relationships, now we have the internet, we have phone, text messages, all that. Are you leveraging that, or are you still like an upfront, in your face type of woman?
Oh no, I'm thankful for the technology. I'm in person when I have to be, but I definitely leverage technology to do like in person, but group. So I'll do town halls, I'll do lives, I'll do any way that I can touch people. I do everywhere that I can touch people. I send emails. Still, I send my monthly emails. I like to. I'll be in person, but select people. Like I have to really like see who am I going to invest my in-person time with.
Yeah.
And it definitely has to be mutually beneficial. Like we're going to be giving into each other. But a lot of things can get done online. But after COVID now, and people are back to wanting to be in person again, I still feel like conferences is a great way to just knock out a whole bunch of touch points.
I love that so much. I talk all the time about growing your network, right? So I have been able to build my business 100% organically, for the most part. And it's not necessarily by choice, but it was by design. Facebook just does not care for me, and they will not let me run ads, right? Every single time I have tried to run ads, my account gets banned or disabled. And so I don't have the ability to run ads. And even when we tried, like for the week that they worked, the ads just weren't converting. So my sauce is much like yours, just meeting people and building relationships. And you guys, I cannot tell you enough times how important attending conferences and mixers and networking events are to your success. Like you can't reach the people that you want to reach just on Instagram alone, right?
Alone. That's one of the touch points. One of the touch points.
And that's just the starting point for a touch point. Like you have to figure out, if you're networking online, seeking people online, you have to figure out how to transition that conversation from the social media platform to your phone in person. Dawn, I can't tell you how many times I've been, like my Instagram page has been hacked, I think a total of 4 times in the last 2 years. If I had kept all of the relationships that I built or started on Instagram there, I would have lost all of my contacts, right? People would not be able to find me to know what I'm doing. I wouldn't have been able to attract high value clients as quickly as I'm able to do today if I didn't master the art of moving the conversation along. Let's talk a little bit about that, because you talk about going to conferences, but you said something and you went over it so quickly that I want to make sure people get it, because people like to take from you what they want to take from you and like leave everything else out of it. You said, I went to conferences, I collected emails, business cards, I went and put those contacts on an email list, I reach out to them with, I think at that time you were sending, weekly emails. Once a month.
You don't want
monthly
to get
emails.
on their nerves.
Once a month. Let's talk about that, because sometimes people think showing up for the conference is enough, but also not just showing up for the conference, they're not connecting with the right people.
Right.
Yeah. We'll go to conferences with our girlfriend, and the only person we talk to the whole time is the girlfriend, or people that we're already really familiar with. And we go and have lunch and we sit at the table with our familiar network. Let's talk about how you work these rooms and conferences.
You know, I'm that kind of person. Like, I want to sit with my friends and not talk to anyone. I actually am an introvert. Strangers are like uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
So this is my hack.
Okay.
I always go to an event with a friend that's super outgoing. That's like the person that talks to everybody, that gets to know everybody. That's the master networker. That's my wing person. I always have one of those. And they are the ones that go around talking to everybody. They kind of figure out the room, and then they'll introduce me to people. So normally I meet people from getting introduced, because I'll know like good people in the room already. I'll have a couple friends in there. I'll tell them what my intentions are. Like, I'm really looking to meet, let's say I'm looking to meet some investors, looking to meet some people in the retail space. So they'll be like, okay, here, you need to meet this person, that person. My other hack is I like to assess the room. So usually a conference will have like a program, or, you'll see the speakers or who's attending. And I'll kind of go through and say, okay, who's the people here from what company that I need to meet? And I'll go looking for them.
That part.
I'll go looking for those people. I don't like small talk. I get real awkward. Like, I get real uncomfortable. Oh, where you go to school? Oh, where you live? Oh, okay. I have a puppy.
Girl, I got 2 minutes of that before I'm
about to
out.
die, like on the spot. I need to be intentional. So like, being very intentional means doing your homework ahead of time. Then also letting people know, like people that you're there with or your network there, like, hey, I'm looking to meet somebody from Shopify. Like, if you come across somebody, like, plug me in. Who you trying to meet? All right, bet. If I happen to see somebody at the table that's sitting next to me, or, oh, you should meet my friend. Like, okay, my friend will plug me in. So you kind of have to have, like, for me, it's like a team thing, because I'm not going to walk around and say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
And I will never walk up to nobody and say, hey, I'm Dawn. What's your name? What do you do?
Yeah. That's the creepy approach.
Weird to me.
That's a creepy approach.
It happens to me a lot at conferences. They walk up and they'll just like stand on the side and be there, and like, I'm like,
waiting
okay,
for
why
you
are
to
they
finish?
right there? And then they're like, hey, so what do you do? And I just be wanting to like disappear, like vanish.
Yeah.
So I think it's being like very intentional about, what do you want to get out of that conference? Why are you there? Because there's a reason why you're there. Who do you want to meet? What do you want? And just like focus on that, and not just meeting anybody that you can.
Yeah. I'm a part of this mastermind, and a couple of months ago, maybe 3 months or so, we're in Austin, Texas, and one of the activities, so is so cool. They have this app. I don't remember my login to it right now, but they have this app that manages all of their mastermind members, and there's hundreds of us that are in this mastermind. And so when you attend a live event, one of the activities is to go around the room meet as many people as you can, right? And you go in and you mark the names of all these people that you met, and you're supposed to find something out about them, and you earn these points. And at the end of it, at the end of the conference, whoever has the most points win. I love and hate that activity. I hate the activity because it's a numbers game where you're just walking around saying, hey, I'm Donnie. Tell me something interesting about you. Okay, let me put it in the app real quick. I got it. All right, move on. Oh, hey, I'm Donnie. Hate that part. But I love it because it's an open invite. People are expecting to be met and to be talked to and introduced. And one of my cheat codes is to wait until you see an opportunity where people are inviting you into their space.
Yes.
So in this activity, you're automatically being invited, but my goal is to never win the competition. I don't care to meet 50 people in this room. No. I want to quickly meet someone that I can offer value to and receive at like a mutually beneficial.
And then they'll be like, let me plug you into the other 49 people that you didn't even talk to, but I'm going to give you an assist. So they're going to already trust you because it's coming from somebody they know.
Yes. And so
nobody wants a cold stranger.
We'll stand up after we come back from the lunch break or something, and we'll stand up and they're like, stand up for us if you met 75 people and there's people in the room. Stand up if you keep standing, or it's like, stand up if you met 25. Keep standing if you met 50. Keep standing if you met 75, and then they'll sit you down. Well, if you didn't meet at least 10 people, raise your hand, and that's always meet me. Why not? Or how many people did you meet? Three. I wanted to have valuable conversations. And 90% of the time, I'm going to have a better outcome from these relationships than the person who goes into these environments to meet everybody in the room.
It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. And you said something so important. I do this too. It might be why we, you know what I mean? Whenever I'm attending an event, especially if I have advance notice, I've already identified what I need to get from this event, what information that I need, what connection I need, what people I need to meet. What do I need to get from this event? Events literally changed my life. I started to learn how important events were back in 2012 when I was in the network marketing industry. If you're in MLM and you're not attending the events, you're not successful. Like anybody who told me, oh yeah, I did MLM. Oh, I didn't really go to the Super Saturdays. I didn't go to the conferences. I know you didn't make any money.
Yeah.
Because you literally build that business from event to event to event. That's where the big things happen. The big connections are made. You connect with the big mentors. I treat my business the same way, Dawn, which is why I am always investing in myself and attending conferences. For me, attending conferences and masterminds, networking events is the equivalent of like church for my personal life.
Yes.
That's like church for my business. And I get, Donnie, how do you stay motivated? I go to conferences.
Yes.
I attend events.
Yes.
Consistently. I read books. I'm building relationships with the people that I've already met.
Yes.
Right? How do you stay motivated to do? This is how you stay motivated. You can't do anything big by yourself.
No, I don't know why people think that. People be like, I'm self-made. No, you're not. There's nobody that's self-made. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. You had a customer.
Somebody put you on. Exactly. Somebody put you on. Like, what are you talking about?
Somebody paid an invoice.
Yeah, you need people. So I think, I mean, that's really valid what you're saying. And for me, it's like the other hack is a lot of times we'll go to a conference because like a speaker's there or somebody we really want to get in touch with, like a big person. But I won't be the one waiting after in that long ass line. So my hack is two things. Before the conference, I reach out to them because I'm the cold LinkedIn reach out queen, and I've gotten many results. LinkedIn and Twitter.
Okay.
On reaching out to people. LinkedIn and Twitter. That's it. Don't try Facebook. Do not try Instagram. LinkedIn and Twitter. So I reach out like, you're speaking at the conference and I'm attending. Can we grab coffee? But I'll be very specific. Like, I would like to talk to you about how you were able to it'll be very specific question. Like when I got my board member, Jeff Hoffman, who's the founder of Priceline, one of the founders of Priceline, I reached out to him and I said, I would like to speak with you about how you were able to convince a large, how you were able to convince airlines to adopt automated retail technology. What tools did you use to get them to change the way they do business? That was a real specific question.
Yes.
And he hit me back, and we've talked since then. If you ever say, "Hey, let's connect," nobody wants that. Let me pick your brain. Nobody wants that. Oh, well, I think me and you should just talk. I see some synergies. Nobody wants that. Be very specific. What do you want from them?
Yeah.
And what can you bring? So I'll say, can we meet, have coffee before that? Sometimes they say, sometimes they don't. Then I always ask a question. I have to be seen because it's a whole room of people. So when it's time for questions and answer, I'm waiting to say, okay, what question can I ask so they can see my face and see me and remember me. So then when they see me in the mingling or at the networking, they've already seen my face. I've already said my name is Dawn Dickson. I am, at the time, maybe founder of Flat Out or founder of PopCom. How did you do XYZ? What's your take on this? And they answer. And then there it is. They know me. And then I can get in. Not standing in line waiting to just get oh, hey, I was so inspired by what you said. Like, okay.
Everybody in the room is
happens
inspired.
to me. I'm a professional speaker now. I get paid very well to speak, and it'll be long lines waiting to say hi to me. And few of them I ever talk to again because they don't have intention when they're coming to talk to me. They just want to say hi or tell me something.
Yeah, and even if you went like to lunch right after and saw them, you wouldn't likely recognize their face.
Nothing stood out. Nothing stood out. There's a few I keep in touch with because they were very intentional. Very intentional about what they want. I even had somebody like that yesterday. This girl, she watched my live. She went as far as making a whole video and putting it on YouTube, a pitch to me. And it was 5 minutes, so it wasn't too long. But she was like, here's my pitch. I saw your live. I would like to help you with something. Please consider me. And she did a whole video on why I should have a talk with her. I definitely am talking to her.
Listen, first of all, Dawn, I don't even know if we should share this because now everybody's going to start doing it.
I know that's dang.
But those video pitches get me every single time.
Got me.
So especially, here's a cheat code. If you see someone that you want to be connected to, first understand how you can add value to that person, right? Yep. You understand how you can add value, but you don't necessarily could you send just a direct message that's like text words? You could. It doesn't always get seen, right? Very, very small chance depending on how big of a following this person has. But you know what we love? We love recognition. We love to see our name. So anytime somebody tags me in something like in their stories, I watch it.
Me too.
Whenever I see such and such mentioned you in their story, I am absolutely going to see that message, right? I go and look at it, or sometimes, you know, the notifications depending on what day it is, come so quickly. But if I happen to see your notification in my notification feed and it says I was tagged in a post, I'm going to go look at it. And I can remember 2 times that somebody actually, one, there was an issue with the website that I still have. I don't use it anymore, but people obviously still find this website. And this young lady sent me a video with a green screen. My website is in the background. She's talking and she's pointing out on that website, hey, Donnie, I was just on your website. I went to go and search for something. I noticed an issue that I can help you with. Here is blah, 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 blah that's wrong with your site. All I would do is this, this, and this. This is what it would look like. This is how long it would take me to fix it. If you're interested, here's my number.
Yep.
Girl, let me call you right now because my team didn't even notice that. Yes. I am interested, right? I didn't notice it. It's not a website that's heavily advertised by me, but people still find it. And then I had somebody else, a photographer that I've ended up working with now a lot, do the very same thing. So I had a photographer who took a picture of me at an event. And they said, hey, I always hear you talking about like your skin issues and the struggle that you have with that sometimes, and how you don't like super close up, stuff if you're breaking out. First of all, I loved it because you remembered that you paid attention rather than the photographer that just comes right in my face. You see that I'm breaking out right now. Don't do that. So what they did was I was at an event, and at this particular event, I had a hormonal breakout. They sent me my photo and video of the original photo, and then they sent the photo of it lightly touched, because I also talk about how I don't like the overuse of filters and Photoshop and Photoshop and stuff like that. So they sent me a very lightly touched photo. And I was just like, wow, that was so, you remembered something about me that's an emotional connection to me, right? If you struggle with your skin like me, you know how it can make you feel sometimes. So you remembered that about me. You sent me a picture. You sent me how you could make my picture look just lightly, asked me for nothing, and just said, I just wanted to give this to you. I called them and said, hey, how much are your prices? I would love for you to get like just lifestyle content of me without overly, because I feel like if you can't see the pores at all, like it's just too much. It looks
too fake.
It's just too fake, right? I want you guys to see my pores. I just don't want you to see my pimples.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So anyway,
I'm the same way. I have that same story.
Yeah.
Like literally that happened to me as well.
Really?
Paying it forward, a personal touch, it goes very, very far. That's how I hired my videographer. Saw me at an event. I didn't ask them to do this. They shot the event, edited it up for me, and just sent me for free a nice, very dope clip that I could post on social media that was just really done well. I said, oh, this is nice. Can I hire you?
Yeah.
They ended up getting hired for a year.
Yes.
So it happens when you just, a personal touch. Paying it forward though. We all got to do some stuff for free.
Yeah.
You never know where that's going to get you. Sometimes you do something for free and you don't get nothing back, but if you believe and you have faith, it's going to come back to you tenfold somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe not from where you want it to or where you think it should, but it's coming back to you.
Yeah.
So just paying it forward is a way that I've always found helpful for me, even in my growth. And I gravitate towards people who are not asking for something, because I get asked for something constantly. If you're trying to do something for me and paying it forward and show me what you can do and why I should work with you, and it's dope, I'm definitely going to work with you. I'm definitely going to do it.
I love that. There's so many people who are pitching things like find your unique way to stand out. So we were talking about, and I want to bring a close to that conversation about how to properly network at an event, whether it's a conference or just, I'm going to a networking event on Monday here in Atlanta. And as I understand it, there's going to be like 40 people. This is an event that happens monthly. There's going to be like 40 people in the room that are handpicked picked, right? Invited because you either have a high level of information, maybe you have a high network, and just creating the space to mix and mingle, right? See what happens. But identify, number one, what you need to get from that event, right? Identify what you need to get, whether it's a piece of information, a person that you need to be connected to. Number two, positioning yourself in a way where you stand out. One of the things that I like to do, first of all, your girl's going to stand out. Whatever I have on is going to be a standout piece, right? And a standout in a good way. I'm seeing a lot of ladies come into events right now dressed like half naked. Like we're going to business conferences like we're going to the club. And it bothers me,
It's inappropriate.
It bothers me. Yeah.
We from a different time though, and even though we don't look like
I know. Get us real quick.
We are not new to this. We true to this.
Yeah.
And so this new generation, it's different.
It is different,
but it's not appropriate, and you're not going to get the results you want if people don't look at you and respect you in your stature and in your attire. I
try to be so open-minded. I really do. I just think that we've lost the element of time and place. I think we've lost the element of time and place, but I try to be so open-minded because when we were kids, I remember the day that you no longer had to wear pantyhose in church.
Right.
Girl, because growing up, you had to have your little lace stockings on. Yes. And I remember two things happened during our young adult lives or youth. One, we stopped wearing pantyhose. And I remember the elders at that time was like, you heathen, where are your stockings? You're going to a job interview with no stockings on? Stockings were a thing, and you might as well have been a whore if you didn't wear them, right? And then I also remembered the day that, it feels like I remember the day, but the time where you could wear jeans to work.
Yes, like casual Friday.
Casual Friday.
We're dressing up in a suit back then. Like we're wearing suits.
We're wearing suits to work in the mall.
Yeah, like blouses.
They don't know what a blouse
slacks, skirts, pencil skirts, suits, heels. We lived in heels.
We lived in heels.
It was not appropriate to wear flats.
It was not appropriate. So I can remember. I remember in corporate America, even some of the women would be like, you wear heels every day. And I'm like, yeah, you don't. Ugh.
Yeah.
I remember being on my college campus going to class with heels on. Like I was dressed always. So it's a struggle. And again, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I've had to check her sometimes. Like, what do you think you're wearing to this particular place? Because your girl is like stacked and she'll have her stomach out. And I'm like, you cute. And I did my time with stomach out, girl. Listen, y'all, I'm not judging.
Still be out.
Yeah, my stomach is always out. My stomach is often out because it can be. You know what I mean? Right. But it's not out at a business meeting.
Absolutely not.
It's not
or
at
my breast.
Or it's not at a business meeting.
What you have right here is perfect. That's
perfect.
That's the furthest down you should hit it when you're at work.
When you're at work, right? Now y'all know that my girls are one of my favorite parts of my body. So, but when we're at work, and especially women who communicate things like I have an issue with men staying focused and not wanting to sleep with me. Is it fair that we have to consider those things? No, but is it a reality? Yes. And there are just some things that we can do to help, like just be fly, be as fly as you want. And again, I think it's important that you understand, like I was the girl on the club flyer. You were promoting the event. You were probably hiring me to be that girl on your flyer. Okay. At that time, you missed an opportunity, girl. Cause I brought the boys out. Do you hear me?
You know what? You probably was. And I just didn't realize it. You probably was.
Yeah. I was the girl that was on club flyers with my bunny costumes and stuff for Halloween. So I am not shallow by any stretch of the imagination. Or not shallow. I'm not like overly conservative by any stretch of the imagination. But I just wish we get back to time and place.
Yeah, time and place is important. And they'll say, well, women are free and you can't tell us what to do and we're going to have our bodies out. And because it's like this new thing and I understand because my daughter's the same way, like this toxic masculinity. And this is why things are that way. But we still live in this society. Mm-hmm. And I understand things shouldn't be the way that they are. They're not fair. Mm-hmm. But do you want to win or not? Do you want to win or not?
You trying to be successful or not?
Are you trying to like change it and make a change? I'm not about to be out here advocating. I'm trying to advocate for me and get ahead. And I'm not going to, try to change the system right now. I'll make my little changes there, but it's still the way it is in corporate. And in a certain level of even entrepreneurship. You know, when you're getting up to an entrepreneur and you're in the 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurship, you're in different rooms, you're in different scenarios. You have to fall in line with what is the culture that you're a part of at that time. What is the culture of the environment that you're going into?
Yeah, and you have to understand what you want your outcome to be. Yes. There are some people who are change makers in a way that they want to shock the culture, right? I want to shift the culture.
Yes.
So, you know, I believe that my purpose is heavily and directly attached to activating entrepreneurs, helping people to become the best versions of themselves. And that's how I contribute to our culture. I feel like if we have more people who are actually seeking to become the better version of themselves every single day, then we end up having a better world. We have more families staying together as a result. We have less of a wealth gap, you know, as a result. And if we can fix our family, we can fix the wealth gap. If we can eliminate a lot of that wealth gap, and if we can keep people happy, that is the first step.
Yep.
The first step, I believe, to really fixing a lot of what's wrong with our world today. But then there are, like I said, shock value people who want to, you know, shock a culture. So, and you would be the person who says, no, I can show up with a bra on under my shirt and it shouldn't be a problem. Look, fight for what you believe in. Yeah. We're not trying to stop you for it. It's just not our thing.
And it ain't not going to be a problem per se, but you definitely may lose out on opportunities because of how you may be perceived. And yeah. It is what it is.
When I was looking, before my current assistant, when I was looking for an assistant, I like to do interviews in 3 parts. And now since, you know, the pandemic and everything, I don't have an office, so I work from home. Mm-hmm. And I met with a young lady who had made it through her first phone interview so well that I skipped the second interview, and I wanted to do what I would normally do in the second interview in person and just cut to the chase because I really needed this person to start. And girl, I met her. I invited her to meet me for breakfast. Your girl came in see-through pants with her boy shorts showing underneath. She was fly now. She looked good. Okay. Body banging, outfit cute. I'm looking at it like, oh, I wear that in Mexico. Right? That's girl, where'd you get it? I wear that in Mexico for sure on somebody's beach with somebody's son. Right. But I know you didn't. I felt disrespected. I felt like it was in that moment where I'm like, maybe I'm too relatable.
Yeah, like you feel like you can wear that here with me. Like,
what would make you think?
Yeah, I feel like, that way too.
I'm not expecting you to come in a double-breasted, custom, you know, lady suit, but I do expect you to feel like you have to present yourself in a certain way. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, it made me like ask myself, what am I giving off to make you think that you can come to an interview with me? The same thing with men. I know you get it too. Like, let me go check my profile.
Yeah, let me go check what you see that you think this is that.
This ain't that. Mm-hmm. This ain't that. And we just want you to be aware of, you know, be who you are, because that's one of the principles that I built my business on, Dawn, is being able to be fully transparent, fully who I am. If you see me out somewhere and I have on sheer pants with boy shorts, you probably, first of all, see me out of the country.
Period.
In tropical weather, right? Exactly. Things get a little different when I'm out of the country, but I want you to see me on camera the same way that you would see me off camera. So I try to be really, really relatable in that way. But we have to be presentable. Relatable doesn't mean not presentable. So anyway, I was saying that to say how you stand out. One of my ways is to be dressed like to a T. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a color choice or a hairstyle choice or a shoe choice. Shoes is my thing. So it's usually a shoe for me. And then you brought it home with the last point that I want to kind of wrap that part up with, which is the follow-up. The follow-up is really, really important. If you exchange information, we get into these spaces all the time where we're like, oh yeah, we should do lunch. And then you never do lunch.
Lunching forever though, because it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Or you end up not doing lunch, and then 6 months later you run into that person again, and you're strangers all over again because you had an opportunity, you had a way in, gave you my personal information, and you didn't do anything with it. Yep. I want to shift a little bit because you are not just the queen of the flat out of heels, but you have like 6 businesses.
I've started over my 23 career, I've started 6, but not at once because, you know, I believe in mastery. I believe in putting in your 10,000 hours to become a master, and then you can do something else. So they just happen to accumulate because they don't close. So I have a business 17 years old right now, a business 10 years old, a business 12 years old. So those are like my primary 3 businesses. But then, you know, cash flow good. 20, when I felt like the world was going to end, I started like 3 more. Just things, you know, I was in that phase of my life where I'm like, let me just start things that I always wanted to start, or I seen problems that I felt like I could solve, and I had the money to fund my own businesses. And so I said, okay, let me start some other businesses, you know, for fun, because it was COVID and it was lockdown. It was, you know, but I had to let a couple of those go because when the world opened back up and it's time to get back to business, I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit spreading myself too thin, and I don't have time to master these things.
I was going to ask you, you're bored. Like, how do you find the time to be bored? But I understand the world was different.
Yeah, it was different. So, I mean, I still have Flat Out of Heels, PopCom, and D1 Consulting. Those are my core businesses. Like I said, D1 started in 2015.
What's D1 do?
D1 Consulting has evolved over the years. First, I started out doing website development, building people's website, doing marketing strategy. So it was 2005, yes. And so then it was just like helping people who didn't have a website get online and create a digital marketing presence. So that was timely at the time. That was timely.
Yeah.
You know, D1 Consulting has evolved with me and with technology. Now, primarily, it's coaching, my professional speaking, and like me as a brand ambassador. I get paid pretty well from companies like American Express, Dell, Wells Fargo, T-Mobile, and things like that to be like an entrepreneur influencer. So I do that under my consulting, and then do my coaching under my consulting. So it's just a matter of like what tax ID number and bank account I run my checks through.
Okay.
So I don't ever have anything made out to myself, my personal name, because my Dawn Dickson straw man person is worthless. My businesses are really how I identify like in this world, you know? So consulting is like whatever I'm doing, it's me. I will outsource, have contractors, but like the D1 Consulting is really like the business of being Dawn Dickson.
Okay.
And whatever service I'm providing at the time, whether it's web development, I did some crypto work, you know, before, like whatever I'm focusing on, whatever is interesting. Like right now I'm still doing the coaching and more so helping to just entrepreneurs to raise money and giving them advice on strategies to grow.
I like that.
That's what D1 does. And then PopCom is a software company. We build software for automated retail, which is vending, which that business was born from Flat Out of Heels because when I started Flat Out and I wanted to sell shoes and vending machines, nobody would work with me. Nobody would sell me a vending machine. Nobody would. It just didn't exist because what I wanted didn't exist.
Yeah, because you only put snacks in vending machines at that time.
So I had to create what I wanted. This was 10 years ago.
I think you were the pioneer of people putting retail products in vending machines.
Yes, me and I'll be remiss if I didn't mention Gower Smith. He's a white man, but he is the father of that. He invented that. His company is that company that has the Best Buy machines and the machines you see in the airports.
Oh, okay. So with your electronics, grab you some AirPods or something.
They have a CVS machine, but they only work with major enterprise. So like me, they wouldn't work with me. I actually went to them and said, I have an idea to sell my flats in these vending machines. And they said, oh, I love the idea. Give us $1.2 million and we'll roll it out for you. I'm like, well, shit, if I had $1.2 million, I'd do it myself.
I do it myself.
So matter of fact, let me do it myself.
Right.
Like, because this is not making any sense. So and then I also wanted to be innovative in the way that my machines looked. I didn't want that rectangle box with the clear window and the coils. That just didn't resonate with like my brand and
it wasn't fabulous enough.
It wasn't fabulous enough.
Yeah.
So I went and I found a manufacturer in Spain to help me build my first machine, and that failed. And then I found one in the UK to build my second machine, and that one actually worked and sent me on my journey now. And I've built 5 different machines, and I invented one. I have a patent on one, but that's the one that finally came out. You know, it took me 10 years to just like build what I wanted.
Yeah.
Did I think that was going to be like that? Absolutely not. I thought I was going to go get a vending machine and just put my shoes in it.
Yeah.
But I ended up starting a company, and that's kind of what really brought me to the top of the tech industry and of my particular automated retail industry, is because I really innovated a space by bringing technology and redesigning it and bringing that aesthetic to to vending machines, but it came out of me wanting to just sell flat outs.
And so PopCom actually does this for other companies and brands now?
Other companies. So Flat Out's a customer of PopCom. But
Oh,
PopCom has
Flat Out's a customer.
Yeah, PopCom has a lot of big customers, and we're doing good. You know, it's hard because being in software and hardware, and especially hardware, as a Black woman, as an outspoken Black woman, and as a Black woman, as an advocate for Black people and Black wealth.
Yeah,
it's been a challenge, but we've been able to do it.
Girl, you have thrown out so many like light but not light flexes in that 60 seconds that you just spoke. She said D1 is basically the business of being Dawn Dickson.
That pays me really well despite anything that ever happens. That's how I recession-proof my life, is by monetizing me.
Yeah. D1 is Dawn's way of monetizing herself. And then you have PopCom, which is the tech component of your entire portfolio. And then you made your baby of Flat Out of Heels a customer of it. Control everything.
That's what they call, what does Nipsey say?
Own nothing, control everything.
It's just like having that whole supply chain kind of vertical integration is what he says. Like really controlling your supply chain and making money on all the different touch points. So Flat Out wants to sell in vending machines. Cool. They can use vending machines I built and I invented. Cool. They can pay my company monthly to use the software. Like, it's just,
now does PopCom pay D1 for consulting?
No, that's a good one. But PopCom pays me a salary. So the only thing that comes to me is my salary from PopCom. I'm actually an employee.
Okay.
So I have a job.
Sure.
I have a job of my own company. I'm an employee, and PopCom pays me so they hired me. Like my company hired me to run it, so they don't have to pay.
How are you structured? Do you have a holding company with all of your LLCs or S Corps or whatever underneath?
I do have a holding company.
Okay.
PopCom isn't under it because it's like the structure. It's a Delaware C corporation. It can't come under me because I'm one of many shareholders, even though I'm the controlling shareholder. There's many. I have literally about 10,600 investors for PopCom, because I crowdfunded for there too. I raised $7 million. So I can't put under there. But yeah, my consulting company, the other small, my COVID businesses, my RV business is under there. My yoga studio's under the holding company. I have a trust and an IRA that I invest in, self-directed IRA that's also under the holding company. So I've shielded myself pretty well. Like, I can't be sued, basically.
I'm interested. So I know why you went to Delaware. Where?
I mean, number one, before I knew even why, is because when you're raising venture capital, that's a requirement. Later on, I learned it's because of basically the liability and the controls that are in Delaware and a few other states. I think Nevada is another one of them. But just out the gate, out the gate, when you want to raise venture capital, the first thing they want you to be is a Delaware C corporation. I was a part of the early, I've been an entrepreneur a long time. First thing you do, get an LLC.
Yep.
So it was an LLC.
Yeah.
It was the first thing I did. Oh, I'm gonna go get an LLC. But then I had to convert it because in order to take the money and remove my personal liability and protect my shareholders, I had to incorporate it in Delaware. So now, but my yoga and my RV is incorporated in Wyoming because it's a little bit, the laws. You gotta learn the laws. So I have a good team of people around me that help me structure my businesses. I have a financial advisor, all these things that I have now after 20 years. But in the beginning, I was like, figured it out, winging it. There wasn't no good podcasts and people to listen to teach you this game. So I was out here really, learning the hard way.
Googling, and not even the library. Yeah. We're at the library doing research.
Google wasn't Google. Remember, there was about 20
girl,
search engines.
It was a whole bunch of
Ask
slow.
Jeeves, like, geez, what do I do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was so many. It just was different.
And the computer moved too slow.
We actually had to work really hard.
We had to work really hard.
Like, I was telling my daughter, she's like, I want to get a little part-time job. I said, well, go up there and ask her they're hiring. And I was like, oh shit. You don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore.
You
have to go take your resume in, hand it to them.
And, it's so interesting. People are always like, how do you know so much? Donnie, you seem to know a lot about everything. Girl, the work that we had to do back then, like literally, I remember researching. You couldn't just, we're both in our 40s, right? At that time, when we were teenagers and kids, you could not go to the computer and go to Google and say, what is X, Y, and Z? You had to take a good guess at figuring at what word to look up in the encyclopedia. And encyclopedia, for you guys that don't know, are like books. It's a
encyclopedia is a book.
They're books, right? It's a library of books. You get like
once a year,
20 of them. Mm-hmm. They're updated like annually, and it's not a dictionary. It's more elaborative than a dictionary. You would say, how to establish a corporation. So you go into the encyclopedia, you look at the A through C encyclopedia, corporation, and then there would be pages, maybe even a chapter on what a corporation is and all that information, but then you find a keyword there.
Yes.
And then
keep going and find more books. And I mean, when I started my first company, there was just no resources like we have today.
No.
I really winged that on my own. I mean, I really figured it out on my own and made a lot of mistakes because I didn't know what I was doing. There wasn't those resources. I mean, it's crazy that we are in our 40s. I feel like we're young, but I literally had to handwrite and use a typewriter all the way up until college.
Period.
A typewriter. That sounds insane.
We had to carry 3-ring binders with us to keep our documents presentable. We couldn't just we didn't have an iPad with everything stored or a laptop. We literally had folders and binders, and you better keep your stuff in a binder with the paper protector over, because you're flipping through that paper with people talking about your business. Don't present anything dirty.
Exactly.
Girl, first of all, okay.
That made us who we are, though. And that's why we talked about before we got on here about the difference in the generations. They don't realize how easy they have it, and they take it for granted, and they let that make them sloppy and lazy.
Yeah.
Instead of leveraging it for excellence, they leverage it for mediocrity.
And they're getting so much. Oh God, this is so good. I wish we had so much more time. You got to come back. They're doing such surface level research that, especially in service providing, you're giving such surface level, mediocre level services, right?
So terrible.
Can't solve a problem to save anybody's lives. It's a lot of Band-Aid solutions. And guys, if you want to stand out and you want to be like the Don Dickson who has many successful corporations, or you're looking at me and you're like, man, Donnie is so well versed in business. It's not because I operated a business in every industry available. It's because my training has taught me critical thinking.
Yes.
I know how to critically think through a scenario, and I can see when you're a critical thinker, you can take an issue that's happening in one lane and apply it to something different.
Because business is business fundamentally. Mm-hmm. Putting systems in place, operations, finances, organization, it transfers.
Yeah.
If you have that skill set, it transfers. Mm-hmm. But most people are hustling their way through things, mm-hmm. and they're cutting a lot of corners.
It's microwave society. Everything
it's the way that it is today. But that's why we are paid very well to then come and
fix it.
Basically.
Fix it. Yes. Learn how to critically think. Dawn, with everything that you have going on, I have to ask, I don't see a ring. Are we married? Are we dating? What we got going? First of all, you just moved to Ghana.
Yes.
Girl, what are the men like in Ghana?
I don't know yet. They're fine. I'll say that. They're fine because I see them. But I'm recently divorced, freshly divorced. I was only married 2 years, so that's a thing. And I always wanted to move to Africa my whole life. So my husband was Nigerian, my ex-husband, because I dated intentionally and I only dated Africans because
you wanted to move.
I knew I wanted to move to Africa.
Okay.
And my biggest thing was I can't fall in love with an American man and then want to stay here with his grandmama and his mama and he won't move to Africa. Yeah. I got to move to Africa. That is my life goal.
Why?
So, because I'm connected. Africa is home for me.
Okay.
It's always felt that way.
Did you visit first?
No. I just studied it extensively when I was a child. So I visited for the first time probably 10 years ago. I mean, I've been going for a long time, but it just resonated with me. My mom taught me, I knew my history. I knew where I was from. I was proud to be Black. I was proud to be, African. I'm tired of racism. I just said, I want to live somewhere where everybody's Black. That was just my dream. That's my personal utopia.
I love it.
There's no, nothing's perfect. There's no perfect country in this world. But for me, I said, foundation of just walking out the door and everybody that I interact with every day is Black will just give me joy. That's it. Everybody you see is Black.
It's got to be so beautiful.
I love it. And so that was something I wanted for myself. And then also just, I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had as an American citizen and being born here. You cannot deny some of the things that we have privilege to that other people are not, despite even us being Black and all the horrible things that happen to Black people here. We still are able. We're not in a caste system. We can grow. We can hustle. We can make it out the hood. We can.
Yeah.
Some places you can't make it out of where you're born into. You're never going to make it out unless you marry out, and it's rare. So I'm grateful for that, for the resources. I can go out and get it, but like, there's so many things that I feel there's been a ceiling put on my career because I'm a Black woman, especially in my industry. I'm the only Black CEO in my industry, like in the industry, and it's hard. You know, I feel like I don't get a lot of business because of it. You know, I'm Black with braids and tats. Like, you know, it's not their cup of tea.
Yeah.
And so when I've thought about how do I want to expand my career, and like I've reached the pinnacle of where I want to go. Do I want to bust through glass ceilings, or do I want to go where there's no ceiling? Let's just slide over here where being a Black woman is not going to be an obstacle for me. That's not going to be the reason why you don't work with me.
Yes.
And so that was a thing as well. And then another thing was like I dated African men, and this is no shade to Black men because I know it's not your fault that you don't have a cultural identity, and a lot of times you don't know who you are, where you come from, but it's hard for me. You know, when you date a man who knows where he's from, he identifies with a tribe, he has pride, he doesn't identify with a neighborhood or a street. It's like a country, a tribe.
Yeah.
It goes back hundreds of years, thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's a different type of confidence. It's a different type of culture and how they treat women as well. And so, nothing is perfect, but I pick what I like. So once I realized I like African culture, I like African men, I like, you know, African food, I just need to be over there. And so I'm single, but, you know, I was married, and my husband and I, we were on the same page. Like, we want to move to Africa. He's from there. He was born and raised there, moved here when he went to college, but we both just had that plan. And even though it didn't work out on the marriage side, you know, the goals that I had when I got into the marriage, as far as like, because I feel like marriage is a business. You can love people. I'm a Capricorn. I love everybody. Me too.
When is your birthday?
January 1st.
Girl, December 27th.
I love everybody, but it got to be more than that for me.
Yeah.
So like, what are our goals? And so we both were able to like level up our career and level up our life and level up our money and meet our goal. We both moved to Africa, which is not together. And nobody wants that to be their ending, but at least it's not like, I don't feel like, oh, you know, I got married and wasted my life or wasted my time. Like, I accomplished a lot, and it was a pandemic, and we was locked down for the first year in the house. We got married on the day of lockdown, that the day it started.
Wow.
March 16th, the day that you can't go to restaurants. We were like, is the government going to shut down? Let's just go get money. I mean, it all could have been, you know, because it was fast. I met him on Instagram. We was engaged in 4 months. We was married in 5. So,
girl, you were out here having fun. Got a little money. I can make decisions differently.
I was just real intentional. Like, and plus, I like African men in the way that they be real clear that they want to be with you.
You know? Fall fast, don't you, Dawn?
No, not at all. No, not
4 months.
4 months. We go together. I mean, like 4 months, you can go together.
We go together. You can go together.
And then we were engaged. He proposed, but I didn't expect to get married that fast. We got married because of COVID. And we were like, we want to go to Africa faster. And I have to be legally married to get my visa to go to Nigeria. And
so even that was a business decision.
It was everything that I do has to go along with my plan. Now, of course, I'm a human. I have feelings. I have a heart. But it was always very intentional about who I even date and who I even associate with. So it was business decision for both of us. Yeah, we definitely loved each other, but I didn't get a chance to get all I feel like I didn't get a chance to get all head over heels in love because.
Got you.
Yeah.
See, if we would have been friends back then, I could have helped you solve that problem. No, just let me not say that. You like I caught him cheat. And so that was my question. African men, I've dated a few African men in my time, and they were very, very generous men, very generous, great, like lovers, but they loved every damn body.
So do most men in general, especially men that are successful, men that have money, men that are attractive, men that the abundance of perceived options, you know, is the thing. I never took it personal. Like, I'm not mad. You know, Beyonce got cheated on. Like, okay.
As an adult,
I don't take it personal. Like, it's me. Something wrong with me.
As a grown woman, Dawn, I've only been cheated on by the African men that I've dated. So now I'm like, I ain't messing with them no more.
Dang. I haven't been in many relationships.
Yeah.
To even be getting cheated on. I just be doing me. Like,
you just out here building your business.
Traveling the world, been to 30 countries, want to go to more. Like, you can't catch up with me to
but
be my boyfriend.
Do you feel like now being in your 40s, do you wish you would have dated earlier? Like, seriously considered dating?
No, I designed my life. I have the life I want. I could have had anything I wanted. You know that. Just set your intention.
Yeah.
I never was a woman to pray for a husband, a man. I never dreamed of a wedding. I never wanted one. I eloped. It wasn't my life. When I seen my life as even a young girl, I remember vividly going to my grandparents' 65th year anniversary. I probably was like 13 or 14. And I was like, ain't no way I ever want to be with nobody that long.
You still don't?
No, I'm going to die before that. I don't have 65 years left.
That's a good point.
I'm 44.
I never... I want to be married, just to be clear. And I am a woman who feels like we need each other. Women need men, men need women. But I didn't prioritize, like, for me in my 20s, and it was probably because of the financial trauma that I experienced that I had to focus on just getting my money together.
That's how I felt as well. I didn't want to be a dependent.
I didn't.
And I knew, and my daughter's father is an NFL player, so I lived that life of not working, living with him. He's been in the NFL. I'm living that life, you know, before Basketball Wives. I was living that life.
Yeah.
And it depends on what your value systems are. Like, if you want the lifestyle and the money and the bags and the house, and you don't care about loyalty or honesty or until later, because all the men act right later when they ask.
They
washed.
always
When
first
they
of
ask
all,
gray and fat and washed, they want to be.
They be out here saying men become more valuable as they get older.
I'm like, that. My friend told me that yesterday. He really thinks that men get more valuable when they get older.
I mean, I think
women lose our value.
And so that's my thing. They always say, I hear it a lot right now from these relationship podcast experts, that men become more valuable with age, women become less valuable with age. I really just think it's person specific.
It is.
Because I have certainly gotten more valuable. You would not have wanted to marry 20-something-year-old Donnie. It would have been a hot ass mess. It would be a disaster. And there were parts of my 30s where I was still finding a lot out about myself. And I feel good now. Like, I feel good with dating with the intention of being married, like dating super intentionally. I've always been more of a long-term commitment person, but marriage was still kind of like, I want it, but I got to do X, Y, Z first. I struggle though, honestly, with wishing sometimes. So the catalyst behind me not dating super seriously in my 20s, especially in early 30s, was my daughter.
That's me too. I was about to ask you that. Like, I didn't want men around my daughter.
I did not want men around my daughter.
Men in and out my house.
Yeah, you're not coming in and out. I didn't want to show her that as her mom, right? It was really important the way that I positioned myself as a mom and as a woman.
Yes.
Because I later learned that, like, my biggest fear in life would be my daughter having to look outside of me for an example of what a woman is supposed to be. Yes. So, I wanted to be really, really intentional about just being a good mom and available for everything. My daughter has never, ever been to a babysitter. The only time that she spent away from me, because we ended up being a split family household, I think when she was 7, her father and I broke up, or maybe 6. She had her cousin, those were her sisters. So she spent time there. She spent time with her father and my mom, but we've never like hired a babysitter. So dating for me in your 20s, especially the type of men that I enjoyed dating, you're on the go. Like, people want to be able to be spontaneous and I can't. Like, I'm a mom first, but then your children grow up.
They do. And I always said, I'll get married around 40. And I used to say that because I felt like 40 was far. When you're 20 and 21, 25, 40 seems far away. So I'll be like, when you going to get married? We going to settle down? When I'm 40, around that time, because Nia will be, when I'm 40, she'll be 15. Yeah, she'll be, 15. That'll be a good time. And I would just say it. And literally, I manifested that because I got married at 40. Like, I met him at 40, got married. I think I had just turned 41 a month before that. Yeah. So I always just wanted to give her that time for me to raise her. It's not her fault. Her father and I didn't work out, but I want to give her everything.
That's how
I felt like, shit, I'll still be young. And I still am. She's about to be 19. And
Yes.
The plan worked out.
And I see it. So back to my original point, I see it both ways. Sometimes women, just people in general. Some of us get better with time. Some of us not so much with time. Yeah. And, you know, right now it's so funny because only younger guys approach me.
My husband was 12 years younger than me.
Yeah. My ex was 7 years younger than me. But what's up with y'all? Why y'all not, you know, like.
I mean, I think that the older men our age, well, the ones that I see that are our age, I'm not attracted to. Like, I don't do fat. I don't do like. I think the respect, like I like younger men because I feel like they respect me a little bit more. They put on me a higher esteem maybe than the older men maybe do. They give me a little, they respect who I am, what I've, you know, where I've been, what I've, you know, where I stand, my career, that I look good. Definitely. And I think older men just be taking that for granted sometimes. They're set in their ways sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. I've had that I can remember. So I've dated. Like I have, and when I say I've dated, I've always I have believed in dating multiple people at a time, not being sexually involved with multiple people, but certainly like dating for me is we've hung out more than 3 times. We've gone on some dates and, you know, had some experiences. And I've dated statistically, especially in my 20s. I dated a lot because I didn't want to get attached to anybody because, again, my daughter was my priority. So I wasn't dating for long-term commitment. I was dating for companionship. When she's at her father's house, let's go have dinner. And everybody understood kind of where I was in that time. And a lot of my friends, you know, are people that in the past I've dated. We were never intimate and we ended up being really good friends later.
Yes, that's exactly me.
But
so
I can remember as an adult, so I've probably had since started to dating seriously 3 serious relationships.
Me too, exactly.
And one of them was somebody who was older than me. Love him to death. If you're watching this, you were awesome.
Aww.
Yeah, but he was just too old for me.
Yeah.
And it was only, now be clear, it was only a 5-year difference. But this guy, and I wanted to try something different because like, what the hell am I doing dating these guys? It's like usually 3 to 5 years younger than me. So I start dating this guy and I saw him in a suit for the first time. Girl, he got on one of those like old school Steve Harvey suits, wide leg pants with the square toe shoes.
And I was like, I hope he's not.
But he knows I used to clown him about this. Like I helped him dress more modern, but it was that. And it was, you know, y'all look now, y'all start getting older. My goal, I'm very, very aware of how I look. My body, staying physically fit. And sometimes men, as you guys start to get older, you start to lose the six pack.
They think that money is going to compensate for you not being fine no more.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Yeah. And it's difficult, and you're set in your ways. You're like, this is how I am. Usually with older men, not so much, because women reinvent themselves a lot. Yes. It's like after a man has his midlife crisis moment, now he is who he is, and you're not as eager, it feels, in my experience, to change and to evolve and continue to...
Or to move to Africa.
Yeah, you know girl, I ain't moving to Africa. See? I'm not doing that.
What I'm saying? And most people won't, but that's like, I'm like my thing. You know what I mean?
Because I am that girl that you explained in a guy. Like, I'm very close to my mom. I don't, you know, if she moves to Africa, I'll move. If my mom and my daughter move to Africa, it would be a no-brainer. But I don't believe they would do that. I really do. I love it here. I love it here. I believe some of the culture we could definitely do a lot better on. I don't have a desire to go to Africa. Not to go, but to live in any other country. Actually, I'm just like, how in the hell would Donnie Wiggins? Yeah, I've traveled all over the world, and I love it.
Nowhere felt like I could live here.
Everywhere feels like I could live here. Everywhere I go, I'm like, oh, I could live here. Yep, I could live here. Nah. Girl, to the point where I'm setting up like tours with realtors and everything. But when I actually start to think about me packing up my whole life and relocating permanently, it's like, and that flight isn't short enough to be like,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I'm in it now. Like half my stuff's in Ghana, half my stuff's in storage that needs to get into a shipping container.
Yeah, I admire you. Like, I think it's so dope.
And by myself, because my daughter's here in college. My husband is gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just out here.
I just think it's so dope that you are brave enough to do that, because it definitely is a courageous endeavor. I think it's so dope. I wish I had more. Now, what I could do is spend like part of the year in other places.
I mean, I'm here now, so I was gone. I left in October and I just came back in February. So I was gone. So I'll be back like every quarter for like a month.
Okay. I love it. Yeah, I could, no, a month isn't long enough. I could go somewhere literally for like 3 months and then come back home for like 6 and then go somewhere else for like 3 months.
That's good.
Yeah, I got to be connected. I didn't have the exposure in my 20s that I've gotten in my 30s and 40s. And I think if I were exposed just a little bit earlier, I might be that adventurous. I might be in another country, like period right now. But I won't say set in my ways, because I'm flexible enough to like spend some time away. Yeah. But I am terrified at the thought of just moving to a whole, not even just country, continent. Like you went all the way out.
I did, but that's because I just think so. Like, I don't think about anything as being permanent. Yeah. That's not how my mind thinks. That's probably why my marriage, I never thought of like forever. I don't think like forever. My brain don't work like that.
I want to be married forever.
My brain don't work like nothingness forever.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I mean, and forever is ideally until death do us part, right?
My brain just doesn't function like that. And then so I do things until they're serving me, until it's making sense. And if it doesn't make sense, if it makes sense forever till I die,
so we got to figure out how we gonna make this make sense forever. Like, and that's the other thing. Once married, like because I didn't have No, I've never been married, and I
had marriage once. Yeah,
I did not have great examples of marriage growing up. But what I did know was that most of them got married in their 20s. Yes. And as I started to study the psychology of people and become more successful, I really learned how different you actually are. So I identify very early, like, okay, 20s ain't it for me. I don't want to be married in my 20s. I don't want to do that to somebody. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm going to be, I'm going to change, and I'm going to change. I'm so different. Mm-hmm. I am so different. I went to a Super Bowl party, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, but I went to a Super Bowl party a while ago. And I ran into this guy one of those guys that I dated like back in 2010. Don't get me caught up. Right? I ran into this guy that I dated back in 2010. And I found out, I'm like, wow, I haven't seen you in forever. I hadn't seen him probably since like, I don't know, 2017. And even then seeing him would be like online. I'm like, damn, I haven't seen you in forever. He's like, yeah, I went away. And I'm like, in 2017? He was like, no, I went away in 2019. You still doing that? Like he was a dope boy. He was a drug dealer.
Still.
And he didn't even confess it to me at that time, but I knew enough to know what he did, right? And he had escaped, like not escaped, but he was on the other end of a felonious past at that time, and just to come out and continue to repeat that cycle. And, by 2019, he had a grandkid. And I'm like, you went to prison again in 2019? And so, try not to be judgmental.
That's his career. It's like, and then now all these white men are like making billions off of selling weed. Yeah. And our men are in jail. And
he ain't moving no weed, girl. He ain't moving no weed. That ain't what he do. So what he does is a problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What he does is a problem. But we're having this conversation and we're talking. He buys me a drink, and he buys me and my girls a drink, and we're having a good time. And he was such an important part of my life at that time. We were so bonded and connected at that time, and it was almost hurtful engaging with him a few weeks ago because he was still in that time. He hasn't evolved at all. So what if that would have been your
husband, and you're evolving, and they're not, and then they resent you, and then it's a problem.
I was sitting there like feeling so guilty that I was so out of the conversation, and I was feeling annoyed and disgusted. And he said something to me about something that I was at that time. I don't remember what he said. And I was like, oh, child, I've changed. Honey, I have changed so much. And he's like, never get so big that you forgot where you came from and who you were. And that statement to me alone said, you don't understand what evolution means and why it's necessary. And I just felt so bad in the moment because I knew that I didn't want your number. I don't want to catch up. I never need to see you again because you're just so stuck in this way of being. You could be so much more, just so. And he's older. He's older than me.
And that goes back to the point of just, we're the same. And I didn't want to get married when I was in my 20s because I knew that the life that I wanted, and I didn't want anybody to stop it or get in my path. I was very clear. I always said I'm gonna retire by 45. So I got like a year and a half to retire. But it's like when somebody, I'm selfish in that way. If somebody comes into my mix, I'm so clear about where I'm going and what I want in my life, and I design this life that they can go. Yeah. And maybe that's a toxic thing. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad thing, but they can go. They can go. And I don't have attachments like that.
I have attachment issues. I do. I love to create. I'm quick to walk away from something that I'm not already attached to. But once I become attached to you, I don't want you to go. Yes. And that means for me, it doesn't mean that if you're my boyfriend, you stay my boyfriend, or if you're my friend, you stay my friend, or business partner. That means that my mind, like my heart, makes me desire to figure out how you do fit. So you don't fit in this role. Let me see if you can fit in this role. Because I'm a Capricorn. I'm a lover. I love people. I just love everybody, right? And I feel like, but I have so much love for myself as well. I will reposition you. I will repurpose the hell out of somebody. You hear me?
Yes, until it wears you out.
It rarely does, though. I've not had a whole lot of experience with just exhausting relationships. Now,
I haven't business.
That's the flip side.
That want to be business.
Yeah, that's the flip side of me. When you exhaust me and stress me out, it takes a lot for me to be done. Just like even in my last relationship, I fought for it. I'm a fighter. You can walk. I will fight for something, but when I'm done, I'm done. Yeah, right? I'm the same way. And like with friendships, I have friendships and relationships and partnerships. I'm going to do everything and exhaust every possible avenue to make this great. But when I'm done with you, you might as well act like you don't know me. Because I don't know you anymore. Yeah, I'm that way. Dawn, you know what I loved about spending this time here with you today? So the whole premise of full transparency is to kind of give the audience an inside look on what it would be like if I were just sitting down with my friends, new and old, having lunch, having a drink, talking. And this was exactly that. Like, I was so involved in what you were talking about that I forgot the cameras were here.
Yes.
And that is why you guys are tuned in to Full Transparency. Every single week, you get a new episode with me and some of my successful friends, old and new, where we have just authentic conversations. But you should be picking something up. Listen, I was over here in my phone typing out notes in real time. You should have a couple of pages of notes from this brain, this genius brain, this giant of a brain, Dawn Dickson. Dawn, it was such a pleasure to have you. How do we follow you? How do we keep up with you?
Yes, I am. You can find me Dawn Dickson, Dickson, on all the platforms. I really, Instagram, I play around on there. I like it on there. But if you want to book coaching with me or like read my blogs, all those things are on dawndickson.me. So that's like the one stop to just getting to everywhere that I'm at. So dawndickson.me. And then, if you want to learn more about Africa, Ghana, also Rwanda, doing business there, about the men there, about expanding your life there, about traveling. I love talking about those kind of things. So hit me up.
I love it. And I already know what everybody's going to want to know first. Leave us with this. I'm an entrepreneur. I need some money. I'm fresh out of money. I need to get some money because I know that if I just had the access to financial resources, everything is going to change. Everything's going to pop. What's the first thing that I should be focused on doing?
Definitely have what I said earlier in this whole thing, know how you're going to make money, know how you're going to grow, know how you're going to get the product done, but know how you're going to return the money to investors. They really just want to hear that you have a plan to give their money back and how you're going to use their money. And if you're like in a place where you're like, where do I go? I would go to a website called Go Alice. Is it called Go Alice? Get Alice? Hello, Alice. Hello, Alice. And a website, FS6, F6S, I'm crazy, y'all. F6S.com, and you can register your business there and just see so many resources. So just start really digging into the ways you can get that free money. It's free money out there now, grants, pitch competitions. Definitely make sure if you're in America, you got to get that credit together, because having good credit can open up so many doors for you as an entrepreneur and just the ways you can leverage things. So the first thing is just get your stuff in order. Make sure you know how your business is going to make money and return that money to investors or lenders. And then get out there and network as much as possible online and offline. And let it be known. This is the one thing I'll say, and I'll leave it at this. When I learned fundraising, they said that people do not raise money because they don't ask. The number one reason why you don't get what you want is because you don't ask. So always just ask. The worst that can happen is they can say no, and then you can always ask again tomorrow or next week.
Ooh,
that's what
heavy,
I do.
Heavy, heavy. All right, you guys, this has been another edition of Full Transparency. Make sure you like, you are subscribed, both here on YouTube if you're watching this video, or on any of the podcasting platforms that you're listening from. Make sure you're actually subscribed. And do me a favor, drop in the comments your biggest takeaway from today's episode, and I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.